Force has been sharing workshops, seminars, and development courses with our community for over 35 years. In 2010, we launched the Master Force International Leadership Academy online, creating the possibility of providing courses worldwide. This same year, we began offering the Master Force Life Coach Certification course, and we now have hundreds of Master Force certified life coaches worldwide, including Switzerland, Puerto Rico, Bali, Tanzania, as well as here in the United States. You will hear from several of our coaches this evening or this week as well. This is the 17th season that we are presenting Ignite Your Soul Connection. For 6 nights, we are sharing our personal insights into what it means to be on the path of self-mastery. We always offer these teachings during the winter solstice, which is one of the most amazing manifestation periods of our time. When we are clear, open, and receptive, we generate a magnetic vibration that will bring to us all that we envision. The Path of Self-Mastery is an event designed to assist us in preparing our space for this season of magic and magnificence. Each night, there will be a different topic, a different speaker, and a different vibe, all of which is designed to expand your horizons and bring you to the highest version of your best self. We look forward to sharing this amazing gift with you. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Yay, we're on day 3 of Ignite Your Soul Connection, the 17th season. And I am Alanda Gregory. I am the producer of this season. And tonight I have the great pleasure of sitting and listening to Mu Shemsu-t. And it is just an honor and a privilege. But let's recap the last 2 nights. So Sunday we had Farasha, and she spoke about the purpose of self-mastery. Last night we talked with Asar, and he talked about mental mastery. Tonight we get to hear about emotional mastery with Mu Shemsu-t. And she is the creator, the founder of Master Force. She has done some amazing work with hundreds of coaches worldwide. So as we go on, and without further ado, let's talk to Mu Shemsu-t. Yay!
You get too excited.
I do get excited. I was trying to get through there. I was like, let me hurry up and get her on here. Okay, sorry.
Oh, my goodness. Hello, Alanda. Hello,
Hello.
Aretha. If I call you Aretha, Alanda, you know.
Yeah, no one else can say that. No one else can call me by my government name, but Mu. So, hello, and thank you for allowing me this pleasure to do this with you tonight. And just I'm excited. So how exciting are you after the last 2 nights of this amazing work that I was able to sit down through, right?
Yes, I just get blown away by our coaches all the time. I mean, first of all, Farasha just, it's like, we're going to come and drag you out of there every single time. She was so on point and so authentic and just blessed everybody. I mean, I don't know if you saw me, but I was just cheek to cheek the whole time with smiling and admiring her. And then with Oser, man, I just feel wholly blessed. My whole entire life has been blessed by him on so many levels. And then to still be able to continue the growth and the development together and the support and the synergy. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a beautiful thing, I mean, how does it get any better than this?
I know, right? Right. It's gonna. I don't know. I can't contain myself because it's been like something, and I'm actually sitting through each night. So this
Yeah.
is amazing for me because you're making me sit still. But I got to
Yeah,
be.
and most people don't realize that by you being a Gemini,
Uh-huh.
having you sit still is a task, you know.
It really is. Like
To get you to do, right?
it
So,
really is.
so let me acknowledge you for literally being one of my number one fans. And I mean,
Yes.
just for all the years, not just in Master Force, but I mean, you every time I took a management position, I called and hired you, you know,
Sure
to
did.
manage the team or to be the office manager. You're gonna manage something because Auntie needs you. Oh, did I say Auntie?
You
Uh,
told me, yep, because Mu Shemsu, she's auntie to everybody.
okay, but tonight I'm Mu Shemsu. Exactly.
That's right. Yes, and I want to say thank you because this is my King of Spade year on the
Oh
Destiny
yes,
card. I'm a King of
yes,
Spade. So the mastery part is this is all for me. Like this isn't all for me, other people, but this is definitely helping me. So thank you for even creating this and telling me, no, I don't want you talking. I want you to produce it. I'm like,
exactly.
but anyway, tonight we're going to speak on emotional mastery. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. We're seeing so many signs of people and the lack of regulating emotions. We're
Hmm.
seeing it all over. And so I can't wait to hear more about this. So you tell everybody about yourself because we've been talking to you all week, last two
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
Let's
So
talk about you.
yes. So I'm a Mu Shemsu to my inner circle, to the world, and to the other people that I provide services to. I'm Rita Stewart, born and raised in Chicago. I am the mother of three amazing sons, not sons, children. I have two sons and a daughter. Although she is a king of heart. So, you know, she's the king of the tribe, right?
Mhm.
And also a grandmother of five. So I love my grandchildren. I love my entire family, you know, and a host of nieces and nephews who were like my children. So you know, I invested a lot in them too. I have been an executive life coach for going on over 35 years. It'll be 36 years coming up in the spring of this coming year. And I actually, this was an accidental journey. I remember thinking when we were in Amway, when my first husband Rudy and I were in Amway, I remember thinking, man, wouldn't it be great if we can go to people's houses and set up these easel boards and show them how to live their life and how to make sure that their children are taken care of? Why are we always going over here talking about circles and showing people how to make money? Money is not the highest value, you know, and I never could convince anybody that money wasn't the highest value. You know, I wasn't ready to teach yet, of course, right? But then later, when I was hired as a IT manager at Motorola, they literally sent me to coaching school so that I could manage the team. And then they sent me to a school so I could write manuals. They sent me to a school for public speaking. I mean, I said, I didn't know that when you got into management, they just kept educating you. So this blew me away.
Mhm.
And then I decided that, okay, how can I use this information to help other people? And one day I rented out a hotel room, actually, you know, a space. And
Mhm.
they said, well, we'll give you the room free if you let us cater the meal. And you just pay for catering the meal. So that's what I did. And I invited about 25 women, and I lived in Schaumburg at the time, right? So it's mostly Caucasian women that came. And I had read this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mhm. Oh
And
yeah.
right. And I wanted to demonstrate how to use the information that he had in this book to help us as mothers and women that work. How can we use this to efficiently run our households and keep our jobs without burning out? And after that session, Alanda, the women lined up to talk. You know how people line up to talk to you at the end. And one lady in the back said, excuse me, do you take personal clients? Well, this was around the same time that Tony Robbins and Oprah were talking about helping people. And Tony Robbins was saying, yeah, well, I charge people $5.25 an hour. So I was like, well, yes, I do. I do take personal. And she said, well, how much? I said, well, it's only $5.25 an hour. She said, I need 2 hours, right? And somebody else said, I need a couple of hours. I said, well, okay. I said, well, come and make sure that I get your phone number. I think that was in the days of Blackberries, whatever. But
Yep.
anyway, that's how I started life coaching. And I was having more clients. I believe at that time I was making just as much money providing services and life coaching as I was getting a paycheck from Motorola. So I thought, oh, I can build me a business. Now I had no idea that if I went to my community and said, well, I'm a life coach, I would like to help you in your life. Why don't you sit down and have a conversation with me to help you work through this issue that you're dealing with so and so? And they said, well, how much do you charge? And I said, well, most people pay $5.25 an hour. However, I do have a sliding scale, because sometimes everybody can't afford that. And they said, well, you want me to pay you to talk to me? I was like, whoa, so this is a whole nother conversation.
Oh yeah. You gotta speak
Man,
differently.
they humbled my little butt. Like, go sit down. Ain't nobody gonna be paying you. So I realized that there had to be a level of education to bring people to the understanding that they needed to invest in themselves and listen for someone to help them through, right? Like, because we didn't have the term mentoring yet, right?
Yeah.
This is 90s, 80s, late 80s, right? So it was so interesting that when I suggested to people that they could use this sliding scale, most people were like, yeah, well, I got $35. You know? And, my spirit said, let this not be about how much money you can make, because the value of money, like if someone has $5,000 and they're paying you 525, that's nothing to them, right?
Mhm.
But if somebody has $100 and they're paying you 25, that's a quarter of what they have. That's a lot, because the
Mhm.
rest of that has to be used for whatever they needed the full money for. So I allowed that level of participation, right?
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. Because I will say this. I remember asking someone about coaching, and you know what they told me? Like,
Mm.
why would I pay you when I can go to church? Okay, cool. All right. Yep.
Well, ooh, we don't want to go down that
You
path.
don't want, but that's what I'm saying. Like, this
Yeah,
was kind of the mentality. So to even
yeah,
coach someone in the conversation, that's a lot of things to actually break through. So you did this 35 plus years ago.
yeah. Well, when my spirit told me to duplicate myself in
Mhm.
2010, and I woke up and spirit was talking to me, and I woke up with duplicate myself. Well, what does that look like? And the conversation was create life coaches. And I said, well, people are going to think, what audacity you. But I had this full curriculum that I had actually taken a year off and wrote out the entire curriculum. And it came from the work that I had did with my oldest son and his friends. So that's how Master Force got started in that realm, because I wanted to help those young men get grounded spiritually. And I'll never forget when my son came home and was like, yeah, the pastor, they want me to accept Jesus Christ as my savior. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm telling you my story, right? And I said, we got to pray about that, because it hit me a certain way. Here's my son, and I believe
Yeah.
he was probably 10, 11 years old, and I just could not fathom. Now, y'all got to know, I had a black fist on my wall in high school.
You
So I
she
could
did.
not see telling my son that he should accept this white man as his savior. I struggled with that. So finally, when he came the third time, I said, no, you tell them we don't do that in our household. No kind. We don't do that here. And so then I realized, though, if I wasn't going to allow him to go down that path, I still needed to provide spiritual grounding. Yeah. And so we started having Master Force classes in my home. And it was just really me and two other mothers, my Aunt Shrita and a Kahirit, every Wednesday, because they had sons. And I knew that if you're going to talk to your own child, you also have to educate their circle of peers, because
Yes.
your child is going to be influenced by their friends. So you
Hmm.
may as well teach all of them at the same time. So that's what would happen. I come home from work, I go upstairs, change into my little outfit, because you got to have the little teaching outfit, the little flow thing over, right? Change into my outfit, wrap my head up. And while I'm upstairs in my room, I can hear them downstairs. That MF did this and that MF, and somebody, yeah, and that MF. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I came downstairs. I said, you guys are doing a lot of MFing down here. I mean, really. And then I told her, I said, can you all find another acronym for that? I mean, because that's just, a lot of heat, right? And these are young men. I mean, talking, 10 to 15 at that time, right? So later that night, my son came up and he said, well, we found another acronym for MF. And I said, what is it? He said, Master Force.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, wow,
How amazing.
how amazing. And so that became that path. And I mean, we did that for about, 4 or 5 years until I moved from out of there. But yeah,
That I love that, because when you introduced that to the rest of us, we were like, we were a little skeptical.
I had us meet at the park. Come on,
You
we gonna
did.
talk.
You did. You had us meditating. I remember being quiet and everybody shut up and let's meditate. Like, okay.
Well, I
But
know that's right. That's how we did, though.
that's what we did, because it was new to us. I mean, it was new when I went to a church that they were speaking in tongues, and me and Teresa fell out laughing. We never seen that before. We was like, "What the heck is this?"
What are
So,
they doing? Right.
so all of this is so amazing, just to hear that and to hear that story again. Every time you tell it, I just get like goosebumps, because I'm like, "Oh my God, I remember this." Right. So your topic is emotional mastery.
Yes.
Can you explain why is this important? And you actually have an acronym for that, but we're going to get into that. But let's
Yeah.
talk about, why is it so important?
We can tell in our children that they do not know how to regulate their emotions. And then we get mad at them because they don't know how. But yet and still, most adults don't know how.
We see that
We
now.
give ourselves permission to just go off because we are upset, we are hurt, we really, with PMS or whatever, all of those are reasons to just be upset. But actually, we have been programmed to literally take ourselves out of our body, like to not be present, to not be still, to not ground ourselves inside of ourselves. So, when we actually teach Master Force, the first lesson is what? Breathe to center.
Yes.
Teaching people how to breathe. Why is that? Because it's the most powerful tool we have. It's the first energy we're given when we're born, and it's the last thing that we let go of when we leave here. So it must be vital, right? But we're not taught how vital it is. And imagine that we have breath, but most people only use 10% of its power.
Mm.
10%. It is the strongest healing force that we have. So when we teach our children how to breathe into their bellies, immediately the oxygen that they actually disperse into their bloodstream, their nervous system, it calms them down. It's a natural calming elixir. Our breath inside of
Mhm.
us doesn't cost anything. Okay. So now, If you're teaching your child to breathe no matter what they're going through, they can center themselves in that moment. And when you're centered, your thoughts become clearer. You know how to act, you know how to release, you know how to be still. Matter of fact, when my son was getting ready to go into the Marines, we sat for days. I was teaching him how to be invisible to the enemy.
Mm.
Yes, that's how powerful we are. And we have allowed ourselves to be manipulated to the point that people think we're a joke,
Mm-hmm.
when actually we have the most powerful life force on the planet. So when we actually balance our breath, we're connecting to our emotions. We're containing our emotions. We're being with our emotions. We're actually allowing our emotions to give us information so that we can know what to do. Anger is a good emotion, but it's not something you need to react with. You need to sit with it so that you can have the ideas on what do I need to create, because some action does need to be taken. But then you create instead of react,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So emotional mastery is not something that just, and everything in life comes to check us. So guess what? You can say you're a master all day long, but something's going to test you as soon as you say that. I don't care how many books you write, you're going to get that test. And that test is going to be all about you, yourself, and I, right? It's all
Yes.
here. Nobody else cares if you're a master or not. This is all about you. So our work is to really become so present to how powerful we are and create from there. And we can only do that when we master ourselves from our emotions.
Oh, yes. So is it safe when you see people that say things like be the bigger person, right? When somebody attacking them, is it fair to say that they may or may not have mastered their emotions because they chose not to address it or chose not to react? Because some people just ignore things. It's like a way of being the bigger person. You heard that term, right? Being a bigger
Yeah.
person.
Now it depends on the situation because I had a woman, I was at an event and I had this woman stand there and go off on me, just really. Anytime someone does something like that in public, that means they lack courage to talk to you privately.
Mm,
So when that happens, depending on the relationship, because what you want to do is you want to see what the value. If I value somebody, I'm going to drum up all the courage I have to hold on to that relationship. So I'm going to eat my crow, whatever my pride, and I'm going to deal with that person one on one.
mm,
Because
mm.
if I deal with them in public, you're going to terminate that relationship. So
Yes.
when you talk about be the bigger person, sometimes the bigger person is let that person have their moment if that's who they are. Now, if it's not somebody you're trying to preserve and if they need to be checked, you might have to check them. But the only way that you know that is because you're calm and in your breath. You're not going to go toe to toe. You're not going to go fire to fire. You're going to be in your breath and calmly say whatever you need to say and then leave it alone.
Oh, that's that elder energy.
Oh, that's what you have to do though, because it's
Yeah.
you don't stand toe to toe and you're just like,
Yeah.
yeah, gotcha, bye. Whatever.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have an acronym for mastery with
Yeah.
this is the two parts. The second part of this question. What the acronym you created for that? Can you go a little bit into that? Just like because you
Yeah.
kind of touched on it with breathing and all that. Can you
Yeah.
just like
So I started off looking at how can we get people to remember what mastery is. So mastery would be meditation, ascension, the silence and solitude, trust, and then right,
mm-hmm.
evolve, and then youthfulness,
Ah,
right?
uh-huh.
So, if you think about, and Aser did such a great job last night talking about the mental. The mental, right, is that first that's how we get into the meditation, right?
Yes.
The breath actually helps us to center into there, yeah, right? Center
Hmm.
into
Hmm.
ourselves and have us be still with it. So I think that meditation needs to be taught to our children.
I
Now,
agree.
my two younger kids went to Montessori school. They didn't say what they were doing was meditation, but they had the children sit still first thing in the morning, cross your legs and you just sit still. And some people close their eyes and they just sat there for, just 5 or 10 minutes. That stillness creates a sense of calm and peace before you get ready to go to learning, right? And suppose you do that at night as well. You just peacefully sit there and allow yourself to rest, and you're in your breath at the same time. And when you're meditating, you're allowing yourself to connect to all those pieces of yourself that are inside you. We talked about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind. You can connect to all of that through your meditation. So that M stands for meditation. Now, the part that's really interesting about meditation that I think is well, all the religions kind of took all the good stuff, right?
Mm.
So people act like, oh, Christians, oh, you shouldn't, and Islam say, oh, you should, and Buddhists say, oh, you. So suppose it has nothing to do with religion. It really is just a way of being still and connecting to yourself.
Mm.
Period.
Okay.
It's what the yogis use in yoga. Unifying one with self. Take away all those words and just sit still and don't, just be with yourself.
Just that's the challenge, because I remember when we practiced that was one of the hardest things to do, was just sitting with yourself. A lot of people have a challenge with sitting with
And so
themselves, right?
that's so true. So this is why we tell people on YouTube, you can use guided meditations, you can use binaural beats. We love binaural beats, don't we? I
We
mean,
do.
I use them in so many healing modalities, but also they can calm you. They can help you with that. They can help you be in your breath. It's okay to use something outside of yourself to get something done, right?
Yeah.
And you can put, I remember it might have been when my husband was killed and I could not sleep. I could not sleep. And I had to go and find, oh, what's her name? One of our favorite meditations. I've been with her for years, and I had to go and find that. And this is when you had the CDs, right?
Yes. Yes.
And just to calm, just so I can hear somebody talk me, because I couldn't stop my mind from thinking, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
sometimes you have to get a guided meditation or somebody talking you down and bringing you into yourself. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm.
It is
Yeah,
still very effective.
it
You know?
is.
Yeah, and I do have a few meditations on my YouTube channel, Mu Shemsu-t on my YouTube channel, a Master Force YouTube. But yeah, definitely something to help people.
It really does. It helps so much. And I wanted, so you mentioned your ex-husband, right? And I know a lot of these I know you have different levels of your self-mastery, and and the path that you on what brought you onto this. So your spiritual awakening. Now, is this one time? Is spiritual awakening a perpetual
Oh, yeah.
thing? So let's
Mhm.
talk. Let's kind of dive into you brought him up twice already. So let's talk about how that became on your
Well,
path to
before
self.
I could get to there, and I want people to hear that, I think it was Farasha that talked about Your Soul's Plan by Robert
Mm.
Schwartz,
Yes.
and how we literally chose our life. We chose our parents. We chose the environment. People say, oh, children didn't ask to be born. Yes, they did. They said, send me, coach. I want to go out there, right? Send me. So imagine that I said that. I came in here, and then at 5 years old, my mother ended up going into a mental institution. And I was the baby in the family at that time before you were born, right? I was the
Yeah.
baby. And here my mother come home from school one day and she's not there. And I'm asking my grandmother and auntie, I'm saying, where's mommy? And they, oh, she went to visit a friend, and you're gonna go stay with mama. You're gonna go stay with your grandmother for a while. Okay, so they're packing up me and my sister's stuff. We move out of our Hyde Park apartment and go over to grandmama's house, right? And every day, where's mommy? Now, a 5-year-old child does not know how to put this together. So all they're going to do is say, where's mommy? Right? And people got tired of me. So I would literally cry myself to sleep at night. Oh, just cry. I always cried. So I was known as a crybaby, but that's all right. I'm still pretty much a crybaby. Who cares? But anyway, 6 months later, can you imagine this? Six
Wow.
months later,
That's a
they
lifetime for a 5-year-old.
Oh yes, they say we're gonna go see your mother, uh, and I'm thinking, oh, now we dressed up because it's Easter. We're dressed up. We're gonna go see mommy, and we get to this ominous building. In this building, mind you, this building, Tinley Park Mental Hospital, right? Now I'm thinking, this is not a place where somebody has friends, but I'm not saying anything because I'm gonna tell you, I was so quiet when I was a child, so quiet, right? So I go in and this doctor comes. She said, oh, you come to see your mother? And she takes my hand and we walk. And these people, I remember writing about this. These was some ugly, mean looking. I mean, they were scary, like the
Mhm.
real, cuckoo's nest, kind of scary, right? And I'm looking. And then I see, a child know her mother's energy. And I see mommy, right? And I get excited and I let go of Dr. Sinclair's hand and I walk towards the window where she was sitting, and I walk over there and I, mommy. And I could tell it looked like she didn't have arms. And all I
Mm.
wanted to do was get a hug from my mommy. That's all. And I look at her and I say, mommy. And she turns and sees me and she says, who are you?
Mm.
Now, I I think in that moment, I probably I when I look back, I remember knowing that something was wrong.
Yeah.
Something was wrong on so many levels, but I had no response to that. And I think I stopped talking for a long time.
Wow.
I stopped talking. I remember them taking me to the doctor because I wouldn't talk. But I had no idea how to process that because I knew from that moment forward that I didn't have a mother. That was not my, you know what I'm saying? That was
Right.
not.
Right.
And so even when she came out of the mental institution, she was still sick and all of that. But that was the first path. That was the first awakening because I kept saying, well, what happened? And my grandmother said, well, she lost her mind. And I kept thinking, well, I be finding everything you lose. I'm gonna find out how she lost her mind. I'm gonna find her mind. So I started reading. Remember, we had, well, you don't remember, but we
No,
had
I don't. No,
the whole encyclopedia, the Britannica, the encyclopedia, and they had the big dictionaries with the way the brain operates, the way the skeletons of the body. And I started reading everything. When I tell you I started studying how the brain works, I started studying at that very because I was going to find out how she lost her mind. Now, that right, that was the path.
wow. That
That was
started the path.
that started the path because I
Mm.
needed to know that there was a way to find her in there. Now, I never found her, but what I realized later is that it saved me from losing my own mind
Wow. Yeah.
because
Wow.
the family that bred that in her literally was telling me, you're going to be just like your mother. You're going to be just like your mother. You're going to be just like your mother. And that's a seed. that you plant. When we plant those seeds in our children, it's not a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. And even if it's genetic, if you read Bruce Lipton's theory on epigenetics, you can use affirmations to change anything in your body. Anything. You can change those patterns with your words.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Yeah.
powerful it is, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
You taught me that. You taught me how to do all.
that's what the work is.
Mm.
And then that next path that we did, the next path was when my cousin Jimmy was killed, because
Yes.
he, after mommy got sick, Jimmy became my protector, right? And Jimmy, whenever he would leave, sometimes he would take me with him because he could not leave me in the house with those adults. They were cruel. I lived in a house full of angry women, and I was the baby, and shit rolled downhill. I got blamed for it. Something got broke. Rita did it. And I would say, no, I didn't. I get smacked every day. I was smacked, beat every day. That's all I remember growing up is that son. So I stayed out of people's way. I went and hid. I went and read my books, But Jimmy would take me with him. And so when he was 19, he was shot in the head and killed. Now I'm thinking, what kind of life we living where, everybody you love just kind of, go away.
Yep. Yeah.
And then the part that was so horrific for me is that at his funeral, MetLife funeral down there on 47th and King Drive, you had all these men come by and kiss him on the lips with their red berets and their black jackets on, talking about the kiss of death. You're doing this in front of a 10-year-old who don't know anything about this stuff, and no
Well,
adult is talking, because they don't. I realize our family doesn't have very much communication skills, and that's
right.
probably why we have so many Geminis to teach us how to communicate. That's the only thing I can think, because there's a Gemini over here, Gemini's everywhere. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, because we needed to learn how to communicate, even the deep hurt stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, I knew then that violence was horrible, just a horrible thing. And I didn't realize it was so rampant in our community because, it was just, I was just a young person. And then you roll that up, and I'm just giving my paths right now because you talk about the awakening. Because most of the time we act like trauma is supposed to be something that we get through, when actually trauma is something we need to integrate so that we can see, what skill am I learning here? What thing am I learning about myself? What is my soul trying to get me to tune into with this pain? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you,
Mm-hmm.
it's unfortunately, some of us can only learn through pain. Now, at some point, you can say, okay, I had enough pain, I'll learn through love, but then you got to open to receive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then go up to 17, when I fell through the bleachers at a football game and broke my hip, thigh, and knee. Just having fun. I'm running, Luther running the ball. I'm running with Luther. Oh, run. And I'm on the top bleacher running the ball with Luther, right? He gets hit right in the end zone. And at that same time, the bleachers crack and I fall right through to the bottom of the ground. Two ambulances showed up, one for Luther and one for me. I went to Roseland Hospital. He ended up at Northwestern. Right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. But anyway, I ended up being in traction for 3 months. And I remember willing myself to die. I remember telling God, I am ready to go. I'm just done. I didn't want to have anything else to do with life. And I mean, because 17, and this is my senior year of high school. At that time, I was about to be the only one out of those grandchildren to graduate from high school, because nobody else ever made it.
That's so
I thought
true.
something was wrong with high school. I want to go from 8th grade to college because they do something in high school that ain't right. Ain't nobody getting through it.
So something going on.
So I literally lay in that bed and just willed myself to die. And one day, one of my teachers, Mr. Baker, he's my Facebook friend today. I found
Oh,
Yes, I've had him on my podcast, but Mr. Baker came and he wasn't my teacher. He was one of the teachers at the school. But
okay.
Mr. Baker came and he brought me this book and he brought me 7 black magazines. See, he was a revolutionary back then too. We was on our blackness, okay?
I know. I
So,
know.
right, he
I
brought
know all of y'all were. That's how I
all of
learned
us were.
all this stuff because you got like I was surrounded by it. It was right after Huey, not Huey, but Fred Hampton and
All
all
of
of
that.
these things was happening. So I was in that Push Expo. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, I
we
went to
knew about
push
all that.
every Saturday. Every Saturday.
Every
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
Yes. I am somebody. Right.
yes,
Every
right.
But he brought me this book, and he brought me The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And he said, now I know this book may be too deep for you, but if you read it, I think you can get something out of it. Now, first of all, you don't dare a person that loves to read, right? And the 17-year-old ain't going for that anyway. So I said, oh, okay. So that Friday, Alanda, after everybody left, I opened the table of contents and I looked, and it was probably like 21 chapters. I looked for all the chapters on healing because all I knew is that it's like 4 days before Christmas. I done been
Wow,
through all of the holidays. I'm done with this hospital food.
I know
I'm
that's
ready to go home, right? I'm done with people visiting me, and I want to be out of here. The first thing that first chapter on healing said was, if you're going to contact God about healing, you have got to make sure that you don't have an angry bone in your body. You cannot have any resentments. You cannot have any grudges. You can't be holding any animosity about anybody talking about going to God asking for something because you can't receive. You're blocked, right?
ooh,
This is the first chapter on healing. If you're going to go to God,
wow.
you have to prepare your heart. You have to have a light heart. So you got to forgive everybody that's ever hurt you. So I said, okay, I can forgive everybody. So, I'm forgiving people. And then the next one said, you have to forgive everything that has ever happened to you in life. Okay, I forgive everything that has happened to me in life. Then it said, you have to forgive God. I said, oh, that's sacrilegious. How do you forgive God? That's And I started thinking, oh my goodness, I have blamed God and I started bawling. That was my breakthrough because I had
Wow.
blamed God for everything. My mentally ill mother, not having a father, Jimmy getting killed, people hurt. God, you did this to me. And I realized that I had been holding all of that. Can you imagine? And I just, but
Oh
that was
boy.
so releasing, right? So it
Mm,
released me. The next chapter said, when you're talking to your body, the body doesn't understand words, it understands images. So you have to use your imagination to tell your body what to do. So I wanted my femur bone. That was the biggest problem was my feet. The hip was mending, the knee was mending, but the femur bone had this nice, beautiful crack. Clean. They said that's a clean break. You see how clean that break is? No. But okay. So I said, what does it look like to have my bones knit back together? So I imagined 3 little men knitting my bones back together. Snap, crackle, pop.
mm.
In my femur bone with I love, I was already crocheting and knitting them, right? They were knitting so I would close my, so, and then he said, after this, he said, okay, I got the vision. Then it says, the best time to program your mind is when you wake up in the morning and before you go to bed at night. When you wake up and before you go to sleep, you put that image in your mind and you feel what it is that you want. So that's what I did. I went to, and so I don't know if you've ever been in the hospital for extended periods of time, but they don't let you sleep. They come in there poking on you, I think every 30, 40 minutes. But they doing changing something to us. So, but every time they came in, what did I do? I went back into programs. Okay, start on me. I get back my vision, third eye, put it in there, boom, knitting me back together. And then I'm also envisioning, the doctor said, it's a miracle. I'm also envisioning myself walking across the stage to graduate because this is my senior year, right?
Yeah.
When I tell you 3 days later, 3 days, and I want y'all to hear me say three because the universe is a 3-6-9 rhythm. 3 days later, so I started that book on Friday. Monday, I woke up and I said, "Where's the doctor?" And they said, "Oh, you're back. She's back. She's back." They thought I was in a coma because every
Oh.
time they would try to wake me up, I would knock myself back out, going
Mm-hmm.
into
Uh-huh.
my trance is what I was doing. But I was actually tapping into my imagination. And so the nurse said, "You're okay. You're okay." And I said, "Yeah, I want to see my doctor." And she said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I'm ready to go home." So she called the doctor, and the doctor said, "Well, order x-rays. Order the x-rays, okay?" So ordered the x-ray machine. Guy came in there, and he said, "We just did your x-rays on Friday." I said, "Just do my x-rays. I'm trying to get out of here." So that afternoon, the doctor came in with his nurse, and they were excited. I could feel their excitement. And he said, "You must have contacted God." He said, "I want you to see your x-rays on Friday. You can see that it's still a clean cut." He said, "And this is your x-rays on Monday. As you can see, there's calcium wove around there." I said, "That looks like angel hair." He said, "Well, what's going to happen is that your bones are going to take that calcium and begin to knit itself back together." I
Wow.
said, "Yep." I said, "And I can go home?" He said, "Not so fast." He said, "We'll stay late and we have to put you in a body cast. And it's going to take at least 24 hours for that body cast to dry. And then after that, you can go home." He said, "But in 8 weeks, we're going to put another one on. We'll take that one off and we'll put another one on. In the meantime, we want you to watch this video about how to take care of yourself in a body cast."
Okay.
All right. And I mean, I'm telling you, I looked at the video. It says, "Be careful because you're going to be itchy." And I trained myself not to itch. I trained myself not to do it. I was just, listen, 8 weeks later, when I went to get my body cast changed, they said, "Oh, you're doing fine. You don't have to do a body cast. We're just going to put this thigh cast on you." And so that is when I realized, why aren't they teaching this in schools? Why are they not teaching us that we have the power of our imagination to envision anything that we want to have it happen? And then I realized that they use it against us. They create video games to teach our children how to be grand theft autos. And now
Yep.
you want to say, "Oh, what's on the increase? Grand theft. What's the game? Are you all serious?" And I remember when my son started playing those games, and I said, "Oh, no, you get an hour or two at most." And he brought me an article that said that this has no effect on the mind. And
Mm.
I said, "Listen, don't let somebody else tell you something that I know about. They're telling you that because they want you to believe that it has no effect. I'm telling you that I know that it has an effect, and we're going to follow my concern and not theirs."
That's right.
So
That's
you
right.
get 1 hour or 2 hours, and you're going to share that with the television. You can't do both, and you're not going to sit on that all day. Now, what do kids do? sit on devices all day, and you want to talk about mental illness.
Oh,
We've allowed ourselves to be taken advantage of because we so freely let people tell us what works and what doesn't work instead of knowing and doing our own research,
tapping into our own selves
tapping into our own selves.
and learning our, because I remember we had to find some keys. I remember growing up, and you had me look for some keys, and I was just like panicking because I couldn't find them. You said no, we're ready. Come sit, go sit down. You had me to visualize the keys, go and do that, and I we found them. I don't know what I don't remember exactly the
I
process, but
use that process every day. Don't
oh
have
my
me look at my phone. I stop. Let me just ask the where's my phone? That's please tell me where my phone is. Where's my key? I don't go through all that panicky stuff because
yes.
your mind is so powerful. Listen, the subconscious mind records everything. It's the Akashic records, whatever. Tammy, correct me, but it literally records everything from the time of conception. You're
Yes.
recording. You have everything that you've ever done recorded. And it hears everything. It hears the fire trucks and cars that we aren't even paying attention to right now, because that's how powerful that source is within us.
Mhm,
So if
mhm.
it's something, I remember that I used to be so cool that if I needed to remember something, I would put the book underneath my pillow. That's how I studied in
Do
college.
you know my
Yeah.
grandmother taught us that, and
Okay.
that's I did not study, and she said I was taught how to you put the book under your pillow at night, and you take the test the next day, and I'm thinking, what? Really?
It is very doable. And listen, the brain is so amazing, right?
Yes.
But in order to get to that amazement, we have to contain our emotions, because
Mhm.
our emotions is what's going to direct us to the next thing. You remember we talked about the emotional guidance system,
Yes.
so that when you're feeling something, that is what's telling you what's going on. So now if I feel angry and I go and I breathe into my belly, I can now kind of calm down and get an idea of what's the best action to take.
Mhm.
If I get excited, I can calm down and realize that my energy is still you have to actually contain your energy, so you don't want to be too out here and you don't want to be too low. But we don't want to continue to be put in shame. And
Mm.
this is how we are being raised in our society, including with our children, with grades. I mean, we're shaming our children all the time. Oh, he gets straight A's, he gets straight D's. She does this, he does it. And so nobody really gets to feel safe within themselves.
But I was thinking, and I love that you say that. So with with that, right? What about people that do not
Oh, did you freeze? That's your freezing. Can you hear me? Are you going to go all the way out, Alanda? I'm not sure what you're going to ask, but I'm going to keep
Yep,
going.
yep, yep.
Oh,
There we go.
there we
I
go.
told
Okay.
there we are. Hello, Mercury retrograde. Hello,
I
Mercury.
know.
Right.
Welcome.
So, what about the ones that do not give them a register of, I won't say right and wrong because it's not really right and wrong, but to even know that there's consequences for these. People, there are people that won't that's not teaching their kids anything about boundaries, and is that, how is that, how,
So
what
just
is
suppose, yeah, that's a great question, Alanda. Just suppose we've been made to think that we're supposed to be a contained source. Suppose what there is to be experienced in life.
mm-hmm,
Like life is, we talked about this a little bit, but I think it was after World War II, the universe started having indigo children come into the world because they realized this cannot be a world of war. Earth is not supposed to be war. This is supposed to be a peaceful garden. After
Yes.
World War II, more indigo children started being born. But that was the first roll of them, right? You had the
Mm.
indigo children, and then in the 60s, more and more. Indigo children are known for being systems busters. Now,
Mm.
I had no idea I was an indigo child, but I knew that my oldest son was. And so
Mhm.
I started studying. And then I got on an internet group when he was, about 9 or 10, asking people questions about it. And this one lady said, well, it sounds like you're indigo. You're creating curriculums and everything for children, and you're allowing your children to teach you. She said, nobody allows their children to teach them. I thought, oh, well, my children helps me to be who I am. So I realized, I said, well, I guess I am indigo. But then I started noticing after that, a lot of the people that came around me were indigos, right? They were people that were looking at life in a different way, in a fresh way. They were rebellious. They didn't
Mm.
want to be told what to do. If they didn't like what was going on, they had a question about it. They didn't just follow along, right? So if you notice about the master voice coaches, most of them are like that.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Yep, or they've created systems to help other people to learn and do differently.
Mm.
All of us created systems, not just master voice, but systems all through the organization.
Mhm.
So children, literally, our role with children is to protect them and nurture them.
Okay.
They have been put here to guide us. That whole Khalil Gibran, your child is not yours. They just came through you. Okay? They're
Yeah.
not for you to mold and shape into a world that you think is yours. They won't even live in that tomorrow.
Mm.
It's going to be a different world when they grow up. So why are you shaping them into this world? So what we have to do, what again, we've been allowing the television and the video games and the music to
Definitely
direct
the
our
music.
children's thoughts. This is what the challenge is. We have outside sources coming into our community and diverting our children's attention. Our families, and we allowed them to disband our families. Family is the strongest foundation in our community. Fathers, mothers, children. You get your best lessons on leadership where? In the house. It doesn't matter how much money people have. If people love you, that's the highest value. The money will come. You learn how to tap in. The universe is always providing for us.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the children, what they're getting is they're getting misguided. That's what they're getting. What we have to do is pull them back in and love them. We can't allow other people to then tell us because they've been misguided that they are thugs or they are disposable. They're not. They're not
Mhm.
disposable.
That's right. Huh, that's something to think about. That is because you have to like being on the path, like as you was talking about this path, like we're teaching the children that, showing that you're not disposable. But how is it that you can this will be one of the questions that is it a natural progression? How do you keep someone enrolled? Because see, the emotions are, that keeps us on our toes all the time if we check them, right?
Well, you
So
got to stay there. Yep. Yep.
yeah,
You got to
right.
stay in your breath. Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is so teaching someone that's new to this technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And getting them to stay on the path when they've been learning what would you suggest or how did you apply it? Because I know because we can, we talk about the times we learned and the times of breathing. Was there ever a time that that it's like, oh, I don't want to breathe, right? That's why sometimes I get like that, right? Like I don't feel like breathing. I want to,
No, well, you,
you know,
you you have to remember too. This is where the difference, where we talk about the importance of knowing yourself.
yes.
and why we teach the destiny cards and why we
Mhm.
tell people you got to know what your sun, moon, and a rising and with your Chinese, because you're going to react to life very differently from me any day of the week.
Yes.
Okay, we can be looking at the same thing, but that it is my nature to be calm,
Yes.
right? It is your nature to be excitable, right? So I don't
It's
care
8
how
o'clock.
calm you get, you're going to still look excitable. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you don't want to compare how you do things. What you want to do is learn what is the best way to practice for me. And
Mhm.
then you have to actually surrender. And this is the biggest problem that people have. They do not want to surrender and discipline themselves. And I still have to make, listen, I said I was, so I have to put in my phone, get on the rebounder at this time, this time, this time. Take your vitamins this time, drink your water. I have to do that. I have to
Yeah.
have something saying, boom, drink your water, because I'll be at the end of the day and I didn't drink enough water. So you have to support yourself. Now,
Mhm.
guess what? Most of us will think, I'm too busy. I'm too busy to do that. There is nothing more important than you. There is nothing more important than you. You are the most important person in your universe. Without
Mhm.
you, life doesn't exist. So, why would you act like you are not important enough to take care of yourself? Now, that's what's hard for me to watch. It's hard for me to watch people that are so giving to everyone else, but they will not stop and take care of themselves.
S-
They will literally act like, oh, it's okay for me to get sick and say, oh, I'm sick, and that's my excuse for not. No, you are a priority.
with the emotional mastery with this, and I'm glad you brought that up. So there are people that will fall on a sword because they want to be seen doing these things, right? So what emotional connection is that? Why is that? Why would people sacrifice themselves for other people? What emotion is tied to that? What
That's
is that?
really great, Alanda. It's that's not that's again them playing with the psychological, those psyops.
Uh-huh.
We were trained through biblical times of what it means to be a martyr.
Yeah.
We're gonna die on the cross. But this is not that time anymore. Martyrs are not respected in the spiritual realm. And I think Timothy will get more into how we develop ourselves spiritually on the path. But emotionally, we have got to get to the point where we understand that my biggest project is me.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're looking for that attention, right? That's your soul calling for you to give it attention. Your soul is your companion. So when you're wanting someone to take care of you, that's your soul saying, come back to yourself,
Mm.
come back in, come here. And when you start providing those moments of solace, those moments of silence and in solitude, you develop a power that says, okay, I'm not only going to have what I require, but it's going to come to me, because that increases your magnetism.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are willing to die on the sword, that's an external thing. You're now demonstrating powerlessness. You're waiting for someone to tell you who you are, right? You want to be acknowledged out there, but when you know who you are, it's an internal, it's such an internal blessing. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
like that word, but it's such an internal forge that gives you, and that's why we call it the master force. You're mastering your life force, and you're using your breath as a gauge to let you know, where are you? Are you feeling shame? Are you feeling courage? Do you know when we talk about that emotional guidance system, courage is at 200. Most people
Mm.
are not operating at courage. Most people do not have the courage to live. They are literally on everything below courage: shame,
Mm.
apathy, victim, waiting for some. Oh, every day they're looking to show what's wrong with the world. Somebody did this to this. Somebody. That should not be your concern unless everything in your life is working 100% the way that you want it to, because that's where you have your control. Here,
Mhm.
are you
Mhm.
living your life according to your terms, or are you allowing the news and what society is doing and what Beyonce is doing and what Puppy, all that ain't going to help you.
Yeah.
So we have to learn to bring ourselves in, and our emotions are our gauge.
Mhm. That's good. That's good. So I know I want to like I know we have several questions, but I want to just really tap into this and working in this like with the emotional and bringing it all home, right? What is your like your daily well, I want before we get to daily routine, I want to get to that, but I want to talk about the you talk about our soul's plan and what we chose to be here. Explain that to some people because this is Earth School, right?
This
So
is
can you
Earth
explain?
School. So,
Yeah,
so
elaborate on that.
people can't hear this yet, and it's okay. But because listen, we've come a long way. When I started talking this 35 years ago, I was, a miscreant and everything, right? People really couldn't hear. So now we're in a different place. I don't even feel like I need to teach because people are breathing, people are meditating, people are doing affirmations, people are listening to positive self-talk. It's
Mhm.
so much easier now, right? But when I
Yeah.
first started, people were looking at me like I was crazy. Okay. So part of it is us being able to manage, right, our
Mhm.
conversations about ourselves
Yeah.
and what it is that we intend. Okay. So if I'm looking at saying that I chose my parents, it's a really great advantage to see that why would I choose a mentally ill mother and not know who my father is? Now, what in the world would I want to learn from that?
Yes.
Take that into a meditation. Okay. And now, whatever comes out of that meditation, you have to now integrate into what it means for your life. So when I did that, I said, wow, what I actually got was that when mommy got sick, because I knew how to pray, and that was because I did go to church with her, right? I knew how to pray. And on grandmama's dress, it said prayer changes thing. I knew to talk to God. So I didn't have a mother or father to talk to, but I talked to God. So I was developing this internal relationship with God, right? Then it became okay, now I know how to talk to God. And then I started realizing I could ask God for things and they would show up, even to the point that nobody in my family had went to college by the time I was getting ready to graduate. And I always envisioned, I used to go over to the University of Chicago and sit on the lawn in high school and do my homework pretending that I went to college. People thought I went to college there because I just looked like college at 14 and 15. But anyway, I was
I know
so
they had a lot of geniuses there.
but I knew I wanted to go to college. Wasn't
Mm.
nobody telling me, wasn't nobody asking me to go to college. Nobody cared if I went to college. But I envisioned myself going to college. And this was even before I read that book, right? I just knew I wanted to go to college. So now when I'm downloading, why would I pick a mentally ill father, a mother, and a father that I don't know? I realized that part of my work was to demonstrate how the power of God flows through me,
Mhm.
period.
Yeah.
Like there has been no safety net ever. Anything that I needed had to come through my connection to source. Because I don't even like to use the term God. We said that the universe. And so when I actually got that book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, it put me on a whole nother level of that path.
Mm.
Like, wow, I can tune in and hear and literally heal a body that had been laid up for 3 months. And within 3 days, I can get it to react to my words and my vision and my thoughts and my emotion and get a body cast to get out of here. And did I tell you that I actually graduated with my class?
And you went to prom.
I went to prom and I had a cane, but I went to prom. Right, I had
You
a
sure
little
did.
cute cane too, a little pearl handle cane, black, had the little knob on the bottom, because I had to be fashionably correct, right? And even at graduation, and I know you and I have had conversations about this, but when I graduated from high school, no one in the family showed up because that wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't a value system in our family at that time.
Yep.
And one of the teachers said, if we don't get you out of Chicago, you're going to die. Miss
Mm.
Leggett saved my life. And that's why we do not advertise to promote commercially, because each one reach one. We are about the ones and twos. We're not about the masses, because the masses is not going to get this. But if you get it, you can teach it to your family. If somebody else get it, they can teach, and not just teach, but demonstrate, be
Yeah.
the example. Because you can't tell somebody something if you have not learned that for yourself.
Mhm.
We don't
Mm.
want to be like the pulpit, I'm doing all this and then in the back room I got the cocaine and the girls, and that's how they used to do back in the day.
They still do it.
They still do it.
They still do
So
it.
we want to make sure that we're literally embed, because once you give somebody some knowledge, which means light, because the more you get knowledge, the lighter you get. Your synapses in your brain light up when you read and have knowledge and you're learning something. It lights up, and that's why we say love and light. When we say love and light, we say get some love and get some knowledge. So when
Yes.
you have insights into things, it helps you to move through them better. So now,
Mhm.
me actually realizing that I chose my mother and father the way that I did so that I could learn how God operates, or how the universe operates through us, and how we can connect. Not only did I learn that, but I have now taught it to a few kind people who were open enough to hear it, and they have went out and touched the world. Because
Yes.
many of the coaches will go much further than I do, because I'm a behind the scenes kind of person.
Yeah.
That's not my personality to be out in front, although you all don't believe that. But still, I like to be I like to be behind the scenes.
That's because more people are so, they're drawn to you. So, I'm a little, I get a little in my feelings when I see people that I grew up with or went partied with and like, oh, hey, auntie, I'm like, that's not
Rute is the same way. That's why is he calling you ma? Ma tells you he can't call you ma.
you, and that's who you are. And that's who you are. You have been all of this that you've gone through this is who you are to us, right? You are this light. You are this light to many of us to take part of this, not just deplete you of it, but to pass it on because
Yes,
this is the work that we do.
yes,
And doing this, and following you. you had to bring this and learn this on your own, in addition
Mhm.
to other things that you learned, but you
Oh,
did
because
a
I've
lot of
sat up
this
under
on your
many
own.
teachers. I set up under many
Yes.
teachers. There's plenty of things that I've learned through Osara Seth, the Maduna Tear. I love how the universe is constantly moving me into different cultures so that I can actually, and when I move into them, I realize, oh man, I'm closer to God than what they are. Because, when you're in a religion, a lot of times you're not with God.
Yeah.
You literally are with the dogma. You're outside of yourself, still trying to get approval from other people. And so you learn to walk for approval. You don't walk to be sustained by the source.
Is it safe to say, as you saying this, it is safe to say that if the way going through this dogma or this religion, if it fails, you have someone to project it on instead of you. And I was just my next question, like the cognitive dissonance in soul work, soul in your soul work playing in this. You get what I'm saying? So you have these middlemen to your
Well,
connection.
the whole reason we have the devil in God is so that we don't have to be responsible for ourselves. Our greatest work is to take full responsibility. And I mean, this, even when we look at the Bible, it says, heal yourself physician. Why? Because that's a path to actually tap into the qualities of your soul.
Hmm.
You have to go deep. When you have to heal, it's deep, and you're triggering your emotions, you're triggering your imagination, you're triggering your faith, you're releasing those belief systems that don't serve you. It's a lot going on, and that's not something that a doctor can do for you.
Mm.
A doctor can't do that for you. Nothing outside of you can do. Now, if they give you a pill or they give you surgery and all that, you're disconnected from yourself in those incidents.
Mm-mm. I just want to say to you that because this what you're teaching, I don't take pain pills. I go in and listen to my body.
Right.
Something is going on. What do I need to do? And that is like the most powerful thing the most powerful gift we can give ourselves by
Yes.
connecting to ourselves. So
Yes.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
it.
because I had my last son at home at 37 with my girlfriends, my bridesmaids were
You sh-
there, my husband was there, and we had the midwives there. And this 8-pound, 8-ounce boy came through me at home, no stitches. Okay. This is
Whew.
and I'm talking about no pain. I had lavender oil. And when I was having a contraction, I said, everybody breathe. Everybody had to breathe. Quiet, breathe with me. I'm breathing now. I'm doing my Richard Pryor. We're breathing now. I had my lavender. And that's how that beautiful boy, that beautiful Gemini came into this world. Okay. You know,
Yeah.
and then I was able to know that every single one of my children needed to be breastfed. There were things that we weren't taught,
Mhm.
but it's like, why weren't we taught these things? It's because we've allowed ourselves to be emotionally disrupted. Okay, we've allowed ourselves, and guess what? We watch television programs that demonstrate that Black women are supposed to be what? Excitable. They can't contain themselves. They're angry. They're gonna break stuff when they get mad. We have to cool out on that. We don't always react like that.
We
And I
sure don't.
think people try to want to trigger us to see if we're gonna act like that. And it's like, you're not gonna get that from me.
Yeah.
You do not have enough resources to make me act a fool.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is how we have again we've allowed ourselves to be emotionally manipulated. So we have
Wow.
to bring that back in.
Mm.
We have to bring it back in. You know.
Wow.
Now, do we have
So,
any questions? Have we
yeah,
had any questions?
yeah, we have any questions out there? This is a good time to ask now.
I
Well, we
can't see. I know.
I don't see any questions. No, not yet. Are there
Okay.
any questions, you guys?
I
So,
do
I'll
want to make sure. Go ahead. You had another question. Go ahead.
yeah, I do have another question. And and becoming your own, well, do you have any quotes? Any quotes that you like to
Oh,
associate with
yes. My
them?
favorite quote of all time. And I had this quote. I got married when I was 19 because I wanted to have uh, sex without guilt. And I met my husband in New York, and I actually married the first man to ever. And this is what a fatherless child does. This is why fathers are so important, because fathers literally, if you got a father, you better go ask him, because he ain't gonna no, right? Anyway, I actually married the first man that asked me, because I thought that that's was my path at the time. But anyway, it ended up being a very unhealthy relationship, because, it's like, okay, we got married. Now I got to go back to college. Bye. You know, and he decided, okay, well, if you're going to do that, I'm coming too. So he leaves New York, comes to, and we end up in this very, unhealthy relationship. And he used to work like 18 hours a day. And I remember listening to a tape by Nightingale Conant.
Mm,
And that tape said, "You are where you are because that is exactly where you want to be." And I'm cleaning the house, and I heard that, and I went and I played it back. What? He said, "You are where you," and I was mad. I turned it off. No,
mm,
I'm not. Exactly. What? How? And now I'm pissed. I was like, how can you say such a thing? I didn't listen to that tape for 2 or 3 days because I was mad. But what was going on in my head was, what does that mean?
mm,
What does that mean, that I am where I am because that's exactly where I want to be? And then I realized that I had a conversation about being a single mother. So I wasn't going to leave this brutal man because I did not want to be a single mother.
whoa.
I did not want to be labeled. I was more concerned about what people thought than what I was about my own well being. And I remember we were attending this church, and I remember this woman and her husband came to my house one day, a Caucasian woman and her husband, Sandy and Reed. They came, and Sandy said, "Listen, I had a dream 3 straight nights that your husband was going to kill you, and we want you to come and stay with us." And at the time, I believe I had already started working for Westmont College, and I had already devised a plan, and I was planning on moving out that Saturday when he went to work. And sure enough, I left a full house of new furniture and everything, packed my stuff, and left. And that was probably the fourth time that I left, but that was the last time. And I used to tell people, I said, I never had a mother or father house to go back to, but I literally knew that I can envision being safe and being free.
Mm,
And that's what I surely did. And so part of that work, right? Part of that work was having the courage to change my life and to
mm.
trust the process. So that quote, "You are where you are because that is exactly where you want to be." Yeah.
That's deep.
Even right now today, I'll run that to make sure I'm where I want to be. Am I where I want to be?
That's that is something to think about
Mhm.
all of the time,
Yeah.
because it is hard. As you saying that, I can't even imagine hearing that years ago. And
Yeah.
I would have probably had the same reaction because I think you might have said that to me. Yeah, I think you even said that to me years ago. And I'm thinking like, what?
Oh, yeah, because it's a very challenging quote to hear, and I don't say it too much to people because I now know how to support people through that. So I
Yeah.
don't have that's a drastic change. That's huge. That's very confrontational, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to use that. But most of that dialogue back then was written for white males because that's who all was
Yeah.
building wealth back then. And these were wealth building books that I was always reading wealth building books in my younger days. That's
Yeah.
Capricorn stuff.
But you know what? You Capricorn Moon, you taught me I was right behind you. But
Yep.
you did say that because you had me listen to the book, Flora Scovel Shin.
Yes.
You coached me into that because when you said that, you had like, listen, she's like, I need you to
The
go
game
listen
of
to this
life.
book,
The game of
The
life.
Game of Life and How to Play It. Because
Mm.
you said that to me in so many words. I remember you saying that. And I'm thinking, what? And so listening to the book and reading it helped me so much.
Yes.
And and to go through these moments, on this path constantly in our emotions, we don't
Mm.
even realize how emotional we are or detached. We didn't talk about the detachment of emotions, right?
Yeah. Well, and the attachment to emotions. I mean, we
Yes.
get attached to our emotions when actually your emotions are just a movement.
Yes.
Emoting, they just move. Our emotions are giving us information. We don't
Hmm.
have to react to them. We just can be with them.
Yes.
You see somebody that you're attracted to, you just be with that. Just because you're attracted to someone does not mean you need to be with that person. There's more criteria that you need to get. you know you got to
No,
get
you're right.
19 points of information before you just, oh, my heart is telling me this. Love is
Nah.
not the only criteria.
Mm-mm. And sometimes it's not even that because I mean, to deeply know yourself, to even love yourself is a lot.
And most people don't love themselves, and this is why we keep looking for love outside of us. If we take time to just love ourselves, all of that love that we require is going to be so luscious that when it shows
Mhm.
up, you can have it or not and still be
Yes.
okay. But
Mhm.
when you have it and the other person have it, you're not burdening them with loving you. You're sharing love. You're not
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, give me this to prove your love." "Oh, do this for me." You don't have to have all that. All that's that Hollywood stuff. That's not love. That's entertainment. Love is who
Absolutely.
you are. Who you are. You are love. So when you are
Mm.
love, you are love. And what shows up in your space is what? Love.
Love.
You don't have to go look for it. That's just who you are.
Mhm.
And
This
then
and
you
this is why
choose.
And this is why we share mood with everyone because love shows up and everybody knows this. Like we, even though we want to hold on to her, but this is exactly what you have that love space. And I am so grateful to be able to hold this space with you. And in our last few minutes, I want to just ask is there any final statements or any things that we did not touch on that you want to talk about right now?
Well, I want to let people know that when I'm looking at wealth and building wealth, the first thing that I look at is health. Health is the first measure of wealth. How are your insides? How are your organs? How are your feet? How are things in your body?
Yes.
What are your habits? Do you literally take care of yourself? Do you
Hmm.
do you take care of you? Are you the main thing in your world? That's the first thing, health. Then
Hmm.
how is your time? Right? Your
Yeah.
time is the most precious thing you have. You want to make sure, I try to make sure that 100% of my day has me present to loving where I am. I can be at home all week by myself and love it, right? But you can't go to a job and hate it. You have to convert that. That's your emotions telling you that. You can convert that. Really convert that. Look and see, if I am on this job, I must have to learn something, and leave a job when you're at your highest peak, not when
Mm.
you're at your lowest, because then you know that you got the lesson and you can call forth what that next great adventure is. Right? So you want to always raise up to it instead of bow down to it. Right? So, time, you want to own your time. This is why we generate businesses, right? We're not trying to accumulate money, we're accumulating time. And then the next thing is peace.
Mm.
We have to have peace. And I'm going to tell you this, your home, your home has to be your sanctuary. It has to be your place for your children to know love before they know anything. Before they know anything, let your children know love. Let
Mm.
them know order. Let them know beauty. It's not that you, oh, I got to go to work, I can't take care of my kid. That job is not more important than your children. It's not. And so you got to sit and do some sort. And this is why we have coaches. This is why we have coaches, because sometimes we have to have somebody to bounce some stuff off of. I need some help, or one of our paths, one of our focuses is home. Your home life is your launch pad. So you
Mhm.
want to make sure that that's a peaceful environment. That's where you're going to build into your children. And when you build into your children, they can't be as influenced from the outside. This is
Yes.
our responsibility. Our children are our responsibility, not the school, not the government, not the next door neighbor. They came through us, they came through you,
Yes.
right? And then the last one is love. How much can you love? That frequency vibrates at 700 and
Mm.
above, right? So it takes something, because we look at ourselves and we want to judge ourselves, and we want to say, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong. I can't love myself until I'm 110. I can't love myself until I get my teeth fixed. I can't love myself until I stop having wrinkles on my face. Oh, that's bull crap. Okay, love is the freest thing that we have. It's the great, and that's what's going to increase your magnetism. It's going to increase, because guess what? Your currency is what's going to attract money. Y'all keep going after
Mhm.
the money and leaving all this other stuff on the table. You leave the health good, your health is bad, you have no time, you have no peace, and you have no love.
Oh, that's
You
powerful.
chasing money. Yeah. Work on the currency within you. Work on here. Get that love vibration up. I could talk about Kundalini magic, because sometimes raising that Kundalini is gonna, and you can be single and raise your own Kundalini. Okay. Sometimes that's the magic you have to get. Y'all know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Okay. So you have to use we have everything that we need within us. And what I want to leave with is I want to make sure you all get these books that I mentioned. Your Soul's Plan by Robert Schwartz. The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And The Science of Breath by Yogi Ramacharaka. The Science of Breath. And then I know one question you would mentioned earlier, what is my days like? I wake up in the morning and I do a breathing exercise before my feet hit the ground.
Mm.
I do a breathing exercise, I do a meditation, and I actually scan my body, I scan my day, I scan my house, and then I create. And then I get up and I open my shades, tend to my plants, turn on my jazz, and get me some what? Lemon water.
Lemon water.
And all of that a couple of hours before I have to go to sit at my desk and work. I give myself plenty of me time in the morning. Some people I'd be like, don't be calling me. Some people like, you know good and well what I'm doing. Why are you calling me?
I don't think they know that. I don't think people call me like before 9 o'clock and why are you calling me? I don't talk to nobody before 9.
Okay.
I just like we don't
No,
do
I'm
that.
talking about 6 and 6:30 calls. Okay, like what you better have something important you doing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
I've actually been listening to some other people say put the phone in the other room, so I'm working on that. But I have to use my because I listen to my binaural beats every
yeah,
night. I
yeah.
listen to my binaural beats.
Yes.
So I have to put the phone in the office and use my iPad, and I don't always remember that because the phone gets attached to our hip sometimes. So but
Yeah.
I'm working on that. That's a discipline thing, and that's a practice that I'm willing to engage in.
Yes.
So
Anything else? Anyone have any questions or any want to talk about how to follow you, what they need to do to get
yeah,
in touch with
so
you?
listen, we actually have so much going on. I'm getting ready to launch a MSc Samurai Elite about performance management to just support coaches and other people in actually getting to a higher level of productivity and
Okay.
self care, so that we can realize that we are it. We're it.
Yes.
We are some
Yes.
amazing people. And what we want to do is be that reflection to one another. Okay. So
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
looking at launching that in 2024. You can actually find me. I have several social media accounts on Instagram. I'm Mu Shemsu-t. On Facebook, I'm Mu Shemsu-t. And what's the other one? I don't think I do TikTok or WhatsApp. So I think that YouTube. On YouTube, I'm
Mhm.
either Master Force Coaches. We also have a channel for Ignite Your Soul Connection, and we probably have about 70 or 80 videos from the previous years that are on there because we started this series in 2010, and this is our 17th season. So
Mhm.
we've been thinking of our community.
Yeah.
We're giving back, and we
Yeah.
try we try to give back freely without asking you for anything because we know that we are in this together.
Yes, we are. Yes, we
We're
are.
making
This
each
this
other.
was started on a teleconference, right? It was
Yes, it
on the phone.
was.
It was
Yeah.
on the phone. So to
Yes.
have this and to do this and freely give this, this is like the best gift for the holy days, right?
Yeah.
And can you talk about the solstice?
The solstice, yeah. So what I do for the solstice is I actually I've been detoxing earlier this week, and then I'm going to fast starting tomorrow for the rest of the week. And fasting for me is going to look like lemon water all day. And yeah, just really, I'm going to do water. I have me some rooibos tea that I'm going to have, and this is just an opportunity to ground myself, to allow my digestion to rest. I mean, fasting has so many good things. I do intermittent fasting on a daily basis where I just eat between the hours of 12 and 6.
Mhm.
In the summertime it's 12 and 8, but now it's 12 and 6 because the sun goes down so early, right?
Mhm.
And then I also have in the background a lot of meditation music going or binaural beats. I'm actually using this time to rest when I'm not working because I do still have clients. And in between clients, I try to nap. I try to meditate. I pull back from life so that I can really see what is the universe asking me to do next. What am
Mhm.
I releasing? What am I moving into? What do I need to let go of? So I'm using this time to really tune in and even assess myself. And then I actually do a lot of journaling, a
Okay.
lot of writing and letting myself go. So but I will have no like I like to watch the Christmas shows, no TV for the show. So I do not, because this is a very receptive time of year. So I'm actually writing down. And if you guys are used to vision boards, you can do vision boards, but you can train your imagination to see without the vision boards. But you want to write down what is it that you want. Don't be afraid to say it and write it down. What do
Yes.
you want?
Yes.
And
Thank you.
trust that the universe, this is what that magic, that magnificent is this time of year. Say what you want, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not about the material stuff, the value on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for giving me the opportunity to do this, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, I just want to say thank you all in the comments. There weren't any questions. There was a lot of comments that were saying they agree, saying hello. They loving all this energy, right? So thank you all again for tuning in. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. Moon will be on here with Dr. Tammy. Yay! Oh my God. And she's gonna be talking about physical mastery. And wow, she's gonna I'm gonna be here taking notes, of course. So get ready, you guys. This is gonna be some juicy stuff. Come back 7 o'clock right here. And the replay of this will be up by tomorrow. So if you miss anything, you can go back, because I was trying to type all the books in and my brain just went, I couldn't keep up. But you'll be able to see the replay. We'll post it in the group. Also, if you go on the page, you will see the handout. So again, just go over to our Ignite Your Soul Connection page and get all the information that you may have missed. And we thank you all. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Farasha. Thank you. I saw someone else on here. I want to just say shout out to you guys. Just thank you all. Thank you, Dabane. I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you so much. I saw a guy's name on here. Thank you, Lotus. Thank you, Lotus Love. Thank you guys so much again. Until tomorrow, have a good
Good night,
night.
everybody. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the 17th season of Master Force Ignite Your Soul Connection, crafted by Mu Shemsu-t Stewart, the visionary and the driving force behind Master Force Life Academy. I'm Alanda Gregory from Tri-Phoenix Media. I'm so honored to have served as the producer for this 17th season of the online conference. If you're seeking details about our courses or want to explore past seasons and episodes of Ignite Your Soul Connection, don't hesitate to reach out to Mu Shemsu-t, and her email is mushemsut@gmail.com. That's mushemsut@gmail.com. Your interest is truly valued. So stay connected and may your soul forever be ignited.